Welcome to Movie House Cinemas. Popcorn? Yes, please. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the movie. Reclining chairs? Don't mind if I do. Action, thriller, romance, we got it all. Discover the cinema today. Movie House Cinemas, home of the movies.
Good evening, and welcome along to Rob and Elliott tonight. Good to have your company with us once again. So coming up on the show this evening, we'll be chatting to TV presenter, fashion expert and fashion icon Gok Wan is going to be with us. We'll also meet one of the stars of the iconic TV show Happy Days. We'll be chatting to Donny Most a little bit later on. We'll have some brand new music from Paul Casey. Meban will be here taking a look at some of the highlights of this year's Belfast International Arts Festival. And we'll be chatting to a Phil Mitchell superfan. Looking forward to that a bit later on. And we'll be catching up with Shane Lynch as well. It's all coming up in the next hour here on Rob and Elliott Tonight. Okay, but starting off the show, as always, we're going to do this week's big talking points. To help us do that, Mr. Showbiz himself, Paul Martin, is with us in the studio. I'm worried already.
I was going to say, you're laughing at me already.
Because I know what's coming, and I can see them behind the glass there, panicking about this story.
There's a look of serious concern and consternation.
I can see the editors with their fingers ready to censor this one. Paul, we're talking about a ghost story with a difference.
Even by our standards, Robin, and we have sunk low.
We have, yes.
We have sunk very low on this show.
Tell us all. Tell us all.
Well, can I read you the headline first?
Read me the headline.
It really says it all. This is in the Mirror, and I have to love this. Woman has sex with a ghost every night for 20 years, but has now dumped him because of his fangs. I mean, that alone. That alone. I mean, you can make a documentary out of that.
I met a woman one time.
Oh, here we go.
I met a woman one time who married a dead pirate.
You see, more marriages would last, Robin.
Wouldn't they? But that one didn't last. She had enough of him after a while.
Oh, really? So how does that actually work?
I don't know, but we'll get her in.
It's a perfect wife, a perfect husband. He never answers back. That's what they all want.
Exactly.
That's what they all want.
So I presume this is what this whole ghost relationship is about.
Let me tell you now. A woman has claimed, funnily enough, she's been sleeping with a ghost for 20 years. A few of my exes might say it's the same kind of experience, just saying, sorry, Jenny. This woman has actually filed official papers to divorce the ghost.
She's got to be American.
She is not American. She lives in England, Robin, and I'm very ashamed and I'm sorry for that. We might be becoming wackier than America.
Yeah.
She's filed papers and says he was abusive to her during the relationship, particularly in the last year. And she even claims she has scars to prove it.
Really?
There are a lot of our stories are getting weirder by the week. By the way,
aren't they? Yes.
I think this is going down a very dark road. However, I'm not going to read you all of her quotes because they're not suitable for this show, obviously. Yeah. But suffice to say, she's very descriptive about how they did this and what an amazing lover he was. So there you go. If you see any ghosts around and you're looking for love, go into Ginder. Ghost Tinder. That's the future, Robin. Ginder.
Okay, this show's getting more crazy.
It's about to get worse.
By the moment, we're talking baseball next, and obviously you're in America all the time. You must be going to the baseball games, aren't you?
Take me down to the ball game. I do go to the baseball games. America's very woke and PC, as you know. We certainly are not, as you know from the last 2 minutes. A man who, they like their emotional supports and their crutches, and they get triggered a lot. A man has been denied entry to a Philadelphia Phillies game because he wasn't allowed to bring his alligator in with him, who he turned up with to the game.
Is this a real alligator?
This is a real alligator. He took him to the game as it's called his emotional support alligator. He can't go, this is clutch, it's his, he can't go. I'll read you this, it's absolutely brilliant. He says he's been a massive Philadelphia fan all his life. Joey Henney had used guide dogs in the past and other service animals, but in the last year he's used an alligator and turned up with the alligator. Now you can imagine the shock in the car park.
There's major health and safety issues here,
He carried it to the turnstile. He actually got it to the security part of the turnstile. Actually carried it to the turnstile. What do you call it? Not a beak. What do you call it? His fangs wrapped And at that point, he was turned away. And they actually released a statement on this.
Yeah.
Rather than just like, because he's absolutely mad and he's not coming in.
Yes, yeah.
They said, we do allow some support animals, including guide dogs and service animals, or any animals who have been trained are welcome, but the alligator had not. So if he had trained the alligator, he would have been able to get into the Phillies match, obviously.
Right, okay.
But only in America. Only in America.
It's getting crazy, isn't it? I had an issue the other night.
Oh, here we go. He's got
This another one. Trying to get Mia into, you know, my little cavapoo?
Of course, yeah.
Trying to get her into a bar that I thought was a dog-friendly bar, and it is a dog-friendly bar. But we went in after 5 o'clock, and they went, you can't have her in here after 5 o'clock because we had a biting incident. But I could bring her in before 5. So do dogs only bite people after 5?
That's a great question.
Is it? Do they have so much drink in the bar that it causes them to go?
But of course, people are allowed in after 5 to fight and brawl in the streets. Yes, that's fine. Yeah. How dare they ban the most famous dog on Instagram?
They barred Mia.
Start a campaign.
Yeah.
Free Mia, let her drink. Unbelievable.
We're talking pizzas now. Now, I ordered a pizza the other night that took about 2.5 hours to get there.
Fantastic. They're great, aren't they?
But somebody here can get one sent up a mountain.
Well, you have to ask why, don't you?
Yeah.
And then when you get the chips and all, they're soggy and cold, aren't they? And the garlic bread, forget about it. It's like cardboard, right?
It is, yeah.
You often see ordering from the same place. A Domino's employee has climbed up Mount Fujito to deliver an order, a 6-hour climb. The order was put in 3 days before some absolute nutter decided to test the system, I guess.
Yeah.
It wouldn't do very well with your pizza delivery guy.
No, exactly. Yeah.
And they liked it. They took the challenge. Can you imagine the poor guy who got that order coming in his Uber Eats on his little scooter? Right, okay, this one's going to the top of a mountain, which is actually towering over the clouds. It took him 6 hours from the pizza being made to be delivered, which is about the same as you the other day.
Yes.
And he collected his payment of $27.50 for his work, which they say is pretty cheap given the task that he had to do. It does show, though, if you go the extra mile in any direction, mainly up, you get the publicity they got out. This is brilliant, which I suspect is behind it. But next time you're waiting an extra hour for an order, think of that.
Yes.
Okay, that is what you call exceptional service. Pizzas, please, to the studio, Domino's. Thank you.
Fabulous. Will you come back next week?
I will if I get. I might bring my new ghost lover in.
Please don't. Please don't. We're talking fashion later on as well with Gok Wan.
Not a clue. Look at me.
Have you had any fashion disasters? Then I'd look at you tonight.
Well,
and I think there's probably one happening.
Do you know what I'm going to do to protest against this? Because I think it's a great outfit. I'm going to wear it next week as well. And yes, I will be back in. And I'm going to make sure. I'm going to note to self in my diary. I'm going to wear this outfit. It's that good. I'm wearing it twice. How dare you slay me?
Well, in that case, Paul Martin, I'm going to wear my outfit.
You should.
Again
There
next
we go.
week as
It's
well.
on. It's
I'm going to
on.
do that.
It's
right.
on.
Let's have some brand new music. New from Paul Casey. This is called The Long Nights of Summer.
Of summer draw to an end. The long days of winter will bring us back here again. Of your lips, long nights of summer, the long nights of summer, fade into the grave, the amber sun sinking. Turn one
Wan's new music from Paul Casey, that's called The Long Nights of Summer. Now, still to come on the show, we'll be chatting to a Phil Mitchell superfan. Rachel Forsyth is going to be with us in the studio, and we're going to be chatting fashion. We're going to be talking about the top 10 most fashionable cities in the UK with Gok Wan right after these.
Heading to the North Coast, the Jet Centre in Korean offers entertainment for everyone. There's an 8-screen movie house cinema with all the best movies, 10-pin bowling, a massive arcade, soft play for the wee ones. Outdoors, there's a mini fun park and gem mining, plus an 18-hole floodlit mini golf course. Rain or shine, there's something for everyone here at the Jet Centre. Find out more at thejetcentre.co.uk.
And welcome back to Robin Elliott tonight. We're talking fashion now. In fact, we're talking about the top 10 most fashionable cities in the UK. To help us do that, I'm pleased to say we're joined by TV presenter, fashion expert, fashion icon, Gok Wan is with us. How are you, sir?
I'm really well. Robin, could you just follow me around the world and just whenever I walk into a room or a space, can you just do that intro?
Sure, I can do that.
I'm not too sure what your role would be called in that. I guess it's kind of entourage, but I liked it.
Now, you're in Belfast quite a lot these days, so surely I could accompany you on your Belfast gigs then.
Yeah, you absolutely could. I had a residency at the Kremlin, which was so much fun. And I was there for years and years, actually up until lockdown. I've not been since, but I was there for, I think, about 2 years, almost every month. And do you know one of the best things about playing at the Kremlin in Belfast?
What?
Next door, the chip shop, they do a dish called dirty goujons.
They're good, yeah.
Chicken nuggets, more gravy, more cheese. It is lethal. But it's genuinely one of the best things I've ever eaten in my entire life.
We're talking today about the top 10 most fashionable cities in the UK. I'm not seeing Belfast on the list.
Belfast didn't come up, but I personally love Belfast, and I love your fashion over there. It's not about the most fashionable. So basically, the whole of this idea is that, you know, I celebrate the UK for all of us, you know, every single part of this country. And I think that we are the fashion capital of the world. That's in my estimation. Yeah. I think we can take on Italy, we can take on France. I think we get fashion right really well here. But always we think of London when it comes to fashion. Now, I live in London, and that's absolutely fine. It's the capital. You know, we are going to think of that. But actually, there are pockets of fashion all around the country, in Belfast, for instance, you know, and our research shows that people also agree with us. And so Manchester came up second at 30%, Liverpool was 18%. And so there's all these wonderful fashion capitals. And I think this is just a campaign to celebrate what we do when it comes to fashion.
So some good news from the research. It seems that the nation are concerned with sustainability and pre-loved clothing and stuff, aren't they?
Yes, I think that we are very aware of it, and we have to be very aware of it because we have a responsibility to the planet.
Now, the vintage look is very popular at the moment, and things like the timeless denim jacket, that's going to be around forever, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are classic pieces out there which are never going to date. And, you know, the classic white shirt, the blazer, you know, the cigarette pants, the suiting for a man, double-breasted jackets, you know, the denim jacket. There are items which are never, ever going to date and you can wear forever. And especially when it's in a fabric like denim, which is designed, it was designed for cowboys, denim was, because it was durable. And I might be wrong when I say this, but I think one of the first pieces of advice from the manufacturers was, well, don't wash it. You don't need to wash this down. I think that's right. And so of course, if you've got a great well-made denim jacket, it's going to last you a lifetime.
And there's also a kind of 90s revival happening at the moment as well, isn't there?
I'm a 90s kid, so I love the 90s. And that's what I love about fashion. But I'm very fickle when it comes to it, because I'll sit there and I'll go and I'll wear a trend and I'll be like, and then it'll go out of trend. I'm never going to wear that again. I hate it. And then all of a sudden, 2 years later, you know, the fashion cycle happens. And I sit there going, oh my God, I love a bum bag. I love a bag. And I'm going through my wardrobe and I'm looking for the bum bag. So I'm very fickle when it comes to it.
Now, looking back over your years in television and looking back over old photos and stuff, Have you ever had any real fashion disasters that you think, oh my God, why did I wear that?
Wasn't on TV actually, but I remember I was working at a furniture store years ago. I just left university, and I don't know why I'd done it, but I had a pair of beige, like kind of proper beige trousers, a beige jumper, a beige body warmer, or what we call now as a gilet, beige shoes. I looked like a Ford Cortina. I actually looked like a Ford Cortina from the late 80s. And I remember wearing it to work, and it was quite a fashionable store, this was. And I remember saying to my manager, I'm really sorry, I'm going to have to go home and get changed. I lived an hour away, and they allowed me to go home and get changed because I wasn't going to sell anything that day. I literally looked like a Ford Cortina. That is no word of a lie.
Now, I remember doing a gig one time where I was wearing this crushed red velvet suit, and I thought I looked absolutely fabulous. And as I was hosting the gig, people kept saying to me, walk back a little bit. And as I did, I suddenly realized there was a crushed velvet red curtain behind me. So I kind of morphed into the curtain.
So it was just basically your head floating. Isn't it wonderful, Robin, is that we have these great stories, and it actually doesn't matter that much, does it? Because at the end of the day, you know, what's inside the clothing.
Yeah.
And what's the worst thing that can happen? Worst thing that can happen. You put on an item of clothing and somebody doesn't like it. Who cares?
Let's get back to the research. We've discovered what people's least favourite fashion items are. Do you agree with these? Were you surprised by anything on the list?
No, I wasn't surprised, but it's so funny because I took the headlines and I have all of them apart from the Crocs. So I've got a pair of Speedos. I mean, that's probably not a mental picture that any of you want right now, but it's true. I do have them. I do have a velour tracksuit. I do have many bum bags. And I do have many full tracksuits. And so this is what I love about this, is that, you know, we kind of say that this is these are our least favorite items, but actually it's all kind of stuff that we should celebrate, you know, and I kind of love that. The bit of research that I found the most shocking, Robin, is that 31% of us are afraid of making bold moves. Now, I did the maths on this. That's over 20 million people in this country that are, you know, use the word afraid when it comes to fashion. And it shouldn't be about that at all, because fashion is an extension of our personalities. You know, it's an extension of who we are. It's the first thing that we see. What I always say, that, you know, fashion is the bellboy of the hotel. Yeah. You know, when you walk towards a hotel and you see that team at the front, they're the first people that greet you. Your fashion is the first people that greets the world. And so it should be a way of you letting the world know who you are. And you can tell a million different things by what people wear or how their hair's cut. And it's really, really interesting. The psychology of fashion is fascinating. And if you get it right, it can be one of the most intelligent moves of your life, because it means that you haven't got to work really hard at introducing yourself to people. They can just they will just meet you and get to know you instantly by how you look, your aesthetic.
Now, what about Crocs? Because my wife loves hers. I think they're the ugliest piece of footwear ever made, but she says she doesn't care because as long as they're comfortable. So what's your thoughts on the Crocs then?
I'm with your wife on this. I kind of agree with that. I wouldn't wear Crocs. I mean, I've got a rounded foot anyway. I'm going to be very honest with you. I look like I've been kicking a wall. That's how round my foot is. And so I don't need anything to enhance the roundness of my toes. So for me, that's why I'm not going to wear them. But that's a personal choice. But when it comes down to comfort, Robin, you know, absolutely good for her. And if she's got the I was gonna say a naughty word there, but if she's got the confidence to turn around and say, well, I'm going to wear them because I'm comfy, then I am all for her. So
Gok, when are you coming back to see us in Belfast then?
Soon, hopefully. I'll need to get a gig at the Kremlin. I need to come over for some dirty goujons. Yeah, but I'm going to be pretty busy with this campaign until then, but I will be with you soon.
Well, we look forward to it.
Give my love to your wife and her Crocs.
I will, of course. Thank you so much for joining us. Okay, still to come on the show this evening, we'll be chatting to Shane Lynch and we'll be telling you how you could possibly become a millionaire. It's on the way shortly. Also, happy Days star Donny Most, he'll be with us before the end of the show. But before that, we're going to talk about super fans now. And I thought I was bad being a massive Star Wars fan and owning a part of Return of the Jedi, Jabba the Hutt, a replica of Jabba from the movie. But we're going to meet somebody now who's gone viral over the past few days, all because of her love love for a certain character from EastEnders. We're talking Phil Mitchell. Let's find out more. Rachel Forsyth joins us in the studio. How are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Very well, thank you. So here you are with the Phil shirt and everything on.
Yep.
So I got to say, I mean, you've been in all the press over the past few days.
Yep.
What is it about Phil Mitchell?
It sort of started back during lockdown. EastEnders stopped filming because of, well, isolation and COVID and all that there. So they started posting every Monday 4 classical episodes from 2007 onwards.
Yeah.
And they were always on in the house with mummy watching them and so and so. So I kept watching them, and I just, from there, just absolutely loved the character of Phil Mitchell. And he was obviously, back then, he had a lot more storylines. He's the big gangster in the square. He's always got a duffed up at the end of the episodes, and that was just sort of it. It just sort of went from there.
Now, I remember him from when he was first in it, but you can't remember that far back. You're only 19, aren't you?
Yeah. So that's why the classical episodes I'm sort of getting to watch now, because I only really remember from like probably about 2016 onwards. So it's great just to sort of watch back, because I mean, he's been in it longer than I've been alive. So yeah.
Why Phil? Out of all the characters in the show, why Phil?
I think it's sort of because no matter, like, he's obviously such a big character. He's got so many storylines, but not even just that he is such a main character and he's got the storylines, but like you can see, he's just got such a soft character in him as well. If you really watch, he really cares for his family and he'd do anything for them. So as much as he acts as a big gangster and he's a big bad guy, he's actually a big teddy bear at heart if you really watch it for as long as I have.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
We've seen the tough guy, we've seen the alcoholic Phil, we've seen
Yeah.
him go through, I don't know how many wives he's been through. He's
Quite a few.
quite a few, hasn't he? But as you say, there is a soft side underneath all that to Phil, isn't there?
Yeah, throughout the whole thing, if you really watch that, all the bad things he actually does are really for his family and because he's protecting people. It's not just because he's actually a bad man.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I just sort of got it from there, just out of nowhere. Can't really fully explain it.
Now, we can call you a super fan, can't we?
Yeah,
Because you've got a tattoo, haven't you?
I do.
Tell us about that.
So last year I booked a girls' holiday with my friend and we went to Magaluf, and I joked for weeks and weeks, I'm going to get a tattoo of him when I'm over there. I'm going to get his name tattooed. And everyone was like, no, she's not. And lo and behold, I was off the flight, I think maybe 4 hours, sober as a judge, walking down the town and went, can you put that in my arm, please? And yeah, here we are.
And there it is, Stevie.
There
Get
it
a
is.
close-up on that. You've got Phil Mitchell tattooed on your arm.
Yep.
What did the tattoo guy say when you walked in and said, I want Phil tattooed in my arm?
Well, do you know what? The man who tattooed me, he was obviously Spanish, and he just looked at me and went, boyfriend's name? And I just went, yeah. Because I couldn't even be bothered explaining, because he had no idea. He didn't speak much English, so I just said yes. So this man thought that I got my boyfriend's name tattooed on me, but he actually didn't realise it was a man out of EastEnders.
Your mummy's sitting in the corner down there. How did she react when she saw this tattoo? Because you FaceTimed her, didn't you?
Yeah, I was walking back down to the hotel, and my friend looked at me and was like, you know, you need to tell your mum about this. And I was like, yeah, I'll be fine. And then I FaceTimed her and was like, I need to show you something. And she was like, what have you done? What have you done? Have you hurt yourself? No. Held it up, and she literally just went like this and screenshotted it straight on Facebook. She thought it was hilarious. So.
Is it fun? Is it funny? Is it? She said it is. She's up for this as well. That's fabulous. Now, I didn't realise as well, there was so much Phil Mitchell merch out there as well.
Yeah.
You probably own it all.
Yeah, majority of it.
So what can we get? We can get a Phil Mitchell car air freshener, which I never knew about.
Yeah, I've got my air freshener. It's been in my car. It's not being took out. It doesn't smell nice anymore, but it's staying there.
Did it smell of Phil?
It actually was a refreshing smell. Don't really know what Phil smells like, so I haven't met him. So, but we never know. Yeah, and then I've got my coffee mug. I've got my travel coffee mug. I have a calendar. I actually need to get a new one of those for the new year. My jumper. I have another jumper. And
the birthday cakes as
well. And the
well.
birthday cakes the last 3 years, yeah.
Okay. I dread to think, but what's next? I mean, might you get a tattoo of a big baldy guy somewhere else on your anatomy?
I don't really think Mum would approve of that one, but you never know. Well, I mean, the next big thing would be nice to meet him, but if I have to get some more merchandise, I think a wee cardboard cutout would be nice in my room.
Do you know what? I'm going to make you really jealous now because I've met him.
Everybody's met him but me.
I
Everybody has
met
this
him
man
on
but
a
me.
show called Festival for Stars that we toured the UK with, and he actually is a really lovely guy.
Yeah, it's from my video going viral. Everyone's commenting, oh, I met him here, I met him there, and I'm like, you don't even like him. How come you get to meet him? So it's my turn. But yeah.
So we'll put the call out now. on the show. This goes out on Sky, goes out in the UK. You never know.
No,
Steve
hopefully.
could be watching. He could be watching this. So if you're watching, Steve McFadden, Rachel would love to meet you.
I would.
There we go. Tell me about the sash on the table here as well. What's that about?
I'm currently the senior face Northern Ireland. It's basically I'm representing the country in Disneyland in November. I'm basically trying to bring home the international title, so Face of Europe World. We do a lot of fundraising for charity. Our two charities are Headway East Kent and the NHS. So from when I win the title, you basically throughout your reign basically until we go to internationals. Like publicise our charities, fundraise as much as we can, hold events, charity events. So I'm heading off in next month in November. So I've done it before. I went over when I was a teen as well and won Face of Europe. So fingers crossed I can bring home the world title this time.
There we go. Well, the best of luck with
Thank
that. And thank you for coming in.
No
and the
problem.
best of luck on your search
I know.
to meet Phil Mitchell.
To meet Phil, hopefully. Fingers crossed.
Rachel, thank you for coming in.
No problem, thank you.
Right, still to come, we'll find out about some of this year's highlights of the Belfast International Arts Festival, and we'll find out about the Millionaire House Club with some special guests, including Shane Lynch, right after these.
Here we are on the north coast, where sporting legends are made. He needs this putt to advance to the next stage, but can he do it? The crowd are holding their breath. Can he cope with the pressure?
Dad, would you take the shot?
Well, and welcome back to Robin Elliott Tonight. Now, earlier this week, I was up in Antrim at Moe's Grill to join a whole host of famous faces for the launch of the Millionaire House Club. We caught up with Shane Lynch and some other people as well. Here's what happened.
I think it's fair to say that here in Northern Ireland, we love you. We really do. We love your music. Are Boyzone ever coming back?
Boyzone is, again, foundation of Ireland. Boyzone is heritage of the land of Ireland. And we, my brothers, me and the boys, I love them boys. And any opportunity, if someone knocks on my door, I knock on their door, and we decide there's an opportunity to go forward as a group, of course we'll be there for each other. And yes, we're probably coming very soon.
Oh my goodness, you heard it here first. They're coming very soon. And of course, that will be lovely for your kids because they're quite young. They sort of know you as daddy, but they don't really know you as the pop star.
Well, I remind them every day I get up out of bed that, hey, I'm your father, the pop star.
And what about you? What is next for you on your massive journey?
My journey flips and changes daily. Always has done, always will. And right now, I'm trying to give credit, I'm trying to build businesses, I'm trying to make a nation of Northern Ireland show that we are here to support. And I think there's no point in being someone and not being able to support others. What's the point? You can't keep it all to yourself, right? So let's support the community.
This might sound like a question. This is a bit of a weird one. Do you still dance?
Dance? Yeah. Still dance? Yeah. I have never danced.
You danced on... You did dance. You danced on the Gay Byrne show. I saw you.
Exactly. I never danced.
I think you were a lovely dancer. What about singing? Do you still sing?
I love the world of music, but I prefer the world of business. Really? Yes, I always have done, I always will do. When I get the opportunity to be blessed in the world of music with the Boyzone boys or with the Boyzone Block boys, in the building tonight is Abs from 5, Dane Bowers from Another Level, Ben from Fats and Smalls. They're my brothers. My boys are in the building tonight, and we do projects. And I love music, but not in a way that I love business. Business is more that I can give to other people in a different way. Music you give to people in a memory, in a song, in a moment, and we're the producers when we stand on stage and deliver those memories. However, business is something which we can actually feed families. I'm here to feed families.
That is such a lovely thing to say, and I think we'll leave it there. That is just such a nice message. He's here to feed families. That's so sweet, it really is. And thank you so much for sitting in the drip, in the cold. He's a superstar. Thank you.
Amen.
I will never find another lover sweeter than you, sweeter than you. And I will never find another lover more precious than you, more precious than you. Oh, girl, you close to me like my mother, close to me like my father, close to me like my sister, close to me like my brother. You are the only one, my everything. For you, this song I sing. All my life, I pray for someone like you. I thank God that I finally found you. All my life, I pray for someone like you, and I hope that you feel the same way too, baby, same way too. Yes, I pray that you do love me too.
Fear, I promise I'll never fall in love with a stranger. You're all I'm thinking of. I praise the Lord above for sending me your love. I cherish every hug. I really love you.
I pray for someone like you. I thank God that I finally found you. All my life, I pray for someone like you, and I hope that you feel the same way too, baby, same way too. Yes, I pray that you do love me more than I've ever known. When you smile on my face, all I see is a glow. You turn my life around. You picked me up when I was down. You're all that I've ever known. When you smile, my face glows. You picked me up when I was down, and I hope that you feel.
Well, isn't it funny who you run into whenever you're in a bar in County Antrim? It's only Dane Bowers, the 90s and noughties pop star. Dane, what are you doing here?
I'm just drinking with you, really. I don't know what else to say. I'm in Belfast, and there's alcohol, and then there's Shane. And what else can you say about Belfast?
You're now living over in Dubai. What are you doing there?
I've been there for 7 years now. So I DJ, I've got an events company, and I play golf.
That sounds like a great life. How the other half live while we're here in rainy Northern Ireland. Anyway, I was actually thinking about you. Only the other day, I was watching the new Victoria Beckham. Good, it was all good. I was watching the new Beckham show on Netflix, and I remembered that you and Victoria famously had the single out at the time. So you were quite friendly with her for a while.
Yes.
And I was listening to some of the things she was saying, and she went through such a hard time, but you were obviously there with her during that. What was that like?
So I'm dying to watch Beckham, actually. For me, like I was a fan of Man United anyway. I was a fan of David, and obviously when I got to meet them, we became friendly, and they did have a hard time. It was very difficult. I think probably still they're probably the most famous couple in the world. So I got all of that at the time, and now to see them progress is obviously a story. But in general, I'm dying to watch the show because they were interesting people anyway.
Yes.
As far as I'm concerned, integrity is a massive thing, and they always had that. So my hat always goes off to them as a couple.
And what about you doing your thing? Would you ever come back and sing rather than produce?
I am singing again now. Obviously, I'm in Dubai. I've set up a studio there, and I'm writing again, which I haven't done for a long time. I mean, I come to England. The only time I really come to England or Ireland, anywhere in Europe in general, is to do some Boys on Block stuff, and that for me tonight will be a good laugh.
Yeah, tell us about Boys on the Block.
So we're just friends that have known each other for like over 20 years. We decided to do some shows together after, I think it was a gay pride show in Bournemouth, like maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And now every now and then we get together and do a show, and you'll see what we
Have
do
a laugh.
tonight. Yeah, you'll see what we do tonight. It's like, it's not serious. It's just we sing some songs and I DJ and we mess around.
I can't wait to see that. Thank you very much, Mr. Dane Bowers.
So, still to come on the show this evening, we're chatting to Happy Days star Donny Most. But before that, the Belfast International Arts Festival kicked off recently. Let's take a look at some of this year's highlights. I'm pleased to say that Alan Meban joins us in the studio. Alan, how are you, sir?
Not too bad. Looking forward to another festival full of fun and frolics.
It's always something that we look forward to every year. And again, lots of great theatre. We'll start with the Lyric, and we'll start with Burnt Out, the new Gary Mitchell play.
Yeah, Gary Mitchell's written a new play essentially about what happens if you move in opposite a bonfire, which now that could be a complete kind of trope for Northern Ireland drama. It's not the first time that we've had a play. They never end well if you are living opposite a bonfire. But I guess it's going to be deeper than that. It's not just a kind of a sectarian kind of raking over the coals, if you forgive that, but it'll actually probably look at actually what drives us, what motivates us, the kind of family dynamics, the kind of societal dynamics, and the things that are going on that actually we're expressing through a bonfire, but actually could have happened in nearly any other way. It's got a really good cast. I mean, Kerry Quinn is there. I think Caroline Curran's in it. It's great, and it's going to be on until the 4th of November, so there's a big long run, and it's good to see kind of Gary Mitchell on local stage again.
It's good to see the number of dance performances that come to the festival every year, and there's a big one that's going to be something very special, isn't it?
Well, I mean, I think there's kind of 2 or 3 that I'd kind of pick out from it. I mean, locally, so I suppose as an international arts festival, it both brings us international acts, but it also showcases stuff locally that is of international quality. So in terms of the latter, it's doing that with Gutter. So Eileen McCrory, who hasn't been probably in the festival for a couple of years, but she has a new piece that she's kind of choreographed. It's looking at tabloid journalism, gossip, free speech, the kind of stuff that we all kind of crave. Sometimes you write about. Yes. So it's kind of looking at all of that, and it's on in the MAC from the 20th and the 29th of October. So it'd be really kind of good to see. The MAC stage is great for dance, and you get quite close to the action as well. You're not too far away. So that's good from a local point of view. I think one of the ones that I'm not a big dance fan, if I'm honest, but it's this is the festival that probably brings things that you go, oh, I've never seen that before, or there's no way anybody would have ever afforded to tour through Northern Ireland with. So in this case, the groupe Aerobatique de Tangier, who I think
glad you said that.
I think it's the acrobatic group from Tangiers. So a Moroccan, kind of French Moroccan. I suppose they're kind of part circus, part dance. Difficult to mix, to kind of take those 2 apart. So they're doing kind of 2 nights in the Opera House from the 20th and the 21st. So expecting get a big, colourful kind of acrobatics, breakdancing, apparently freestyle football at some point with a DJ in the background, magical acrobatics, very, very colourful. We kind of see this every year. There's usually one big dance act that comes, and sometimes they don't sell well, but actually they're well worth taking a risk on. This one's called Fique, and it'll just kind of fill the place with laughter, and also a kind of a sweaty acrobaticness that I could never hope to do myself. And hopefully it's also an encouragement, some of this, for like the local kind of sector. We've got a big circus sector in Belfast, in kind of various guises, and I think it's kind of good for them also to be encouraged the fact that what they're doing is contributing. They're part of the same band. They're part of the same kind of group, and someday what they're doing will go somewhere else internationally and be seen as this is what Northern Ireland can do. So we're going to see Tangier kind of this year. So I think those are 2 of the dance things that I'm probably particularly looking forward to.
Let's move on to music. One of Northern Ireland's finest female voices, Cara Dillon, is always good to see, and she hasn't been here in Belfast for a few years, so it'll be good to see Cara back on stage.
I think that'll be a very welcome concert, Wednesday the 18th coming up, and there's also, I mean, the Waterboys are there. There's a Canadian country music night, if that's what floats your boat, and Nicholas McCarthy, who was in the festival quite a number of years ago. He's a one-handed pianist, and he's kind of doing a concert with, there are a couple of works that were written specifically only for one hand on the piano, so he's kind of playing those, which is kind of quite virtuoso, and it's kind of an interesting thing too. I've heard a little bit of him playing before, but he's also kind of doing some talks and things around that as well. And I think one of the other musical thing that I'm really looking forward to, Belfast Ensemble, are back in the festival this year. They're doing a concert version of Abomination, which is sold out every time it's been done. It's also been taken to England and played a couple of places as well. So they're doing a concert version with quite a big orchestra of that. So it'll be the only chance probably this year, next year to see it here. And then in the second half, they're doing the kind of song cycle 10 Plagues. Mark Almond originally did this with Conor Mitchell a couple of years ago. I think it's about a decade ago. It's been restaged here a couple of times with Matthew Cavan singing it. He's a beautiful singer when he does it. But actually we're getting the original kind of version back again. And we've also had a pandemic, if anybody remembers that. And so the kind of 10 Plagues, which I suppose was really looking at HIV and AIDS and so on, but it has other connotations now that we're looking at that. So a big night in the Opera House. I think that's coming up, if I check my notes, 17th of October. But it should be kind of a very big night to celebrate what Belfast Ensemble have done with very little funding, but a huge amount of talent, creativity and hard work.
Staying with music, I want to mention our good friend Paul Charles as well, who's one of Ireland's top music promoters, who's worked with everybody in the Irish music scene. He's just released his autobiography, which is called Adventures in Wonderland. So as well as that, he's also a big crime writer as well. He's written a whole crime series. So he's going to be doing a special show talking about his life in music and crime writing and stuff like that. So that'll be well worth going to see too.
And I'm looking forward to Mick Herron, who writes kind of the Slough House kind of series of books. Some of them have been on Apple TV recently as Slow Horses. His latest book is kind of just out, and he's doing a night in the Crescent, kind of chatting about being an author, writing about spy stuff, even though he may or may not have ever been a spy. So I'm kind of looking forward to that, because it's nice to see authors up in kind of real life. Can I mention a couple of other things?
Mention two more, let's go for it.
Let's more. I suppose work.text. There was a couple about 10 years ago. There was a show called Pending Vote came in the festival. We got to vote for various answers. Sometimes depending on if you got the wrong answer, you got discriminated against, you got put out and things. So it was a kind of mass participation thing. Work.text promises to be something very similar in that it's the gig economy and there is no performer. The audience or the cast, so we will be instructed as to what to do to create the performance. Now this could be some people's nightmare of a thing where they want to go and have a kind of a drink and sit there and nothing happens, but in terms of both exploring the current economy but also exploring what you can do with theatre and an audience in a different way, I'm really looking forward to that. I think it feels to be like a decade later we're going back to do another kind of mass participation one. And I think probably lastly, Rhino by Tinderbox. PJ O'Reilly has adapted Rhinoceros, which is an Escu's probably quite dated kind of absurdist comedy. Essentially a rhinoceros runs through the town. There is complete pandemonium afterwards. Some people grow horns and become a bit like that. It's probably a little bit racist. And so this version is actually kind of taking it out of its original context, setting it kind of within kind of social media, but also virtual reality and so on, and kind of looking to see what the modern day rhinoceros would be as it goes through. Anything that Tinderbox do, particularly if PJ O'Reilly is actually directing it, it'll have a lot of movement, it'll have a lot of real interesting things. It has been rehearsing in a room above my desk for the last week, and I've only heard things but I haven't seen anything, so I'm really looking forward to that. Again, it's in the Lyric, 18th to 29th of October. It's one of those works, 10 years ago there was a bilingual version in the International Arts Festival, which I only understood half of, because the French bit's not very good. This time, hopefully we understand more of it, but in a very different setting and much less of a kind of a traditional play and more something to actually get your brain around. So really looking forward to Rhino as well.
Loads to look forward to. The festival runs for the length of October, doesn't it?
12th of October until the 5th of November, so a good kind of 3 or 4 weeks. And there's loads of other stuff there in the programme as well. Some of it's big, some of it's small, some of it, nearly everything I go to in the years when you kind of review lots of things, you go to things that you've never really heard of and you go, wow, I would be really sorry if I'd missed that. That's the same with a lot of festivals. I mean, the curation and the effort that goes into programming them is huge. So I think it's always good to see, and hopefully lots of people come along and enjoy it.
Brilliant, Alan. Good to see you. Thank you so much for coming in. We've got a TV legend standing by, waiting in the wings. Donny Most from Happy Days, right after this break.
Let the good times roll at Super Strikes at the Jet Centre. You can now book your lane online. We've got 14 bowling lanes and 4 mini bowling lanes. Plus we serve delicious hot food and snacks, or enjoy a cold beverage with your food after the game. Discover bowling today at the Jet Centre. Jet Centre, entertainment for everyone.
And welcome back to the final part of Robin Elliott tonight. Now, my next guest was the star of one of the most iconic TV shows ever. We're talking about Happy Days. He's also a fabulous vocalist as well. He's got a brand new single out called New York High, and I'm pleased to say that Donny Most joins us on the line. Donny, how are you, sir?
I'm pretty good, Robin. I'm doing a little, it's been hectic. My wife and I recently moved from Los Angeles to Colorado, a big move. We had to be near our daughter. So it's like a new chapter, which is kind of exciting.
Now, in the intro, I introduced you as the star of TV series Happy Days. Is that something you get fed up talking about? Because it was such a long time ago, but it's a show that you'll never be able to get away from, will you?
Yeah, you know, I think when I was younger, and I was worried about just being associated with the show and getting sort of typecast, it bothered me probably more back in those days. Now it's a little more removed, and yes, I mean I have done a lot of other things, but Happy Days is probably still the most well known of the projects I've been involved with. But it's changing. It has changed because I've been doing a lot of films in the last few years, and over the years before that is, you know, TV, film, and theater. And so people now will come up to me and talk to me about some of my other projects. So that's nice, and I'm hoping to continue doing more. So maybe I'll balance it out a little bit more.
Then there came the time when you decided to leave Happy Days. That must have been a scary decision to make at that point.
If it was now, it would be probably scarier. Back then, I was about 27, and I had done the show for 7 seasons. And like I mentioned earlier, I was concerned. Number one, I felt, you know, that was a long time to be playing this one character. I was getting to do some other things during the off season, but I knew that this was going to, you know, overtake everything and be what I'm known for. And I didn't set out to do comedy even. I felt I wanted to do drama and comedy. And I wasn't a comedian like my character seemed to be. You know, he thought himself that way. But I always felt, yeah, if the material's good, you know, then I can do comedy. And if it's really good, it's dramatic, it doesn't matter. And I started out doing more dramatic roles than this one. So I knew that I felt like I needed to move on and make a break from it. And it, you know, it wasn't as scary back then because I was full of, you know, vim and vigor and enthusiasm and ambition. And so I just felt I had to do that at the time.
Let's talk about this great photo that I found online the other day. This is John Lennon visiting the Happy Days set. That must have been a special moment.
Oh my gosh, yes. It was incredibly special. It was surreal. You know, we couldn't believe what was, because nobody, it wasn't like, oh, you know, we found out that John Lennon's going to come by with his son. There was nothing. All of a sudden, you know, Anson Williams, who played Potsy, he had gone over to get some coffee, and it was near the stage door of the sound studio that we were at. And he comes over and he goes, "There's a guy who's standing over there. He just came in. Looks a lot like John Lennon, you know." And we're like, "Yeah, yeah, right." And John Lennon's gonna walk in all of a sudden out of nowhere. And then he gets a little closer, and we're looking, and it was like, "Oh my God!" And we realized it was him. It was just insane. And he was there with Julian, who was like 9, because he was showing Julian around. They were touring Paramount Studios, and I think Julian had already become a fan of the show or something. And of course, John was a fan of the 50s music. So they just came and walked in. He spent they spent a couple hours there, and he was incredibly soft-spoken and humble, and it was just amazing.
So have you kept in touch with the other cast members, people like Ron Howard and Henry Winkler?
Absolutely. We've all stayed in touch. Anson and I are best friends. We see each other all the time and speak regularly. I just saw him a week ago. And Ron and Henry, we've stayed in touch. I don't see them as often, but we'll communicate, by email or on the phone. Just had an email conversation with Ron last week, and I'm due to check in with Henry. So yes, absolutely.
And of course, Ron Howard went on to have this great movie career, directing some great movies. Now, you have directed some films yourself, haven't you?
Yes, I've done 3 films, 3 independent films. First one was called Last Best Sunday, which was a pretty heavy, dramatic film. I'm really proud of it. It's people could find it on some of the platforms like Tubi is free, and it might be on some others. The Last Best Sunday, with 2 wonderful performances by the 2 leads, Douglas Spain and Angela Bettis. And then I did a film called Moolah, which was more of a comedy, comedy draw. Then it turns a little bit serious, and it evolves. And had, again, a wonderful cast with William Maypother in the lead, but Daniel Baldwin and all the I can't remember all the people's names right now, but a great cast: Curtis Armstrong, Treat Williams, and some other people that you'll recognize. And then a family film I did. A friend of mine who was producing it asked if I would direct it, and the script was lovely, so I did that, and I really enjoyed it. Hopefully, I'd love to do it again. I haven't been focusing on that quite as much, but I do have some projects that I'm hoping to get going. So,
and you even ended up in the TV series Glee. That was a worldwide success as well.
Yeah, I had a recurring role. I did 3 episodes playing the father to one of the lead characters. And that was a lot of fun. It reminded me of our show in the way that the crew was so together and in sync, and the cast was the same way. They were a well-oiled group, and it reminded me of our show. But the people were great, and that was fun, a lot of fun.
I want to take you back to your childhood now, and am I right in thinking that growing up in Brooklyn, music was actually your first love?
Yes, absolutely. That's what I was really pursuing when I was pretty young. I started going to a school in Manhattan on Saturdays. I would take the subway in, and I was 13 years old, and I went there for a year and a half or so, and then almost 2 years, and then I got picked from that school to be part of sort of a troupe, a nightclub act comprised of 7 or 8 of us teenagers from 14 to 16, and so I spent the summer performing in the nightclubs of the Catskill Mountains, which is upstate New York, which was a pretty famous resort area. Yeah. They had lots of hotels and bungalow colonies, and they had nightclubs. So yeah, that's what I was into, and I loved, the great standards, and with the jazz feel. I always loved the swing and that kind of jazz, and the songs that Sinatra did, and Bobby Darin. I was a huge fan of. Not his rock and roll was good, but I saw Bobby at the Copacabana in New York when I was 18, and so I was really into that, and the Great American Songbook from a young age. But then when I was around 16, my focus started shifting. I started really becoming fans of. There were great movies being made independent in the late 60s, and some of the actors had really strong influence on me. and like Jack Nicholson and Dustin Hoffman and people like that, Pacino and De Niro. And so I really shifted my focus, went into a different, more serious workshop for acting, and I started pursuing that, and was able to get a manager and an agent, and started making the rounds in New York, and started doing that when I was about 16. Wound up doing a lot of TV commercials, like 40 of them in 4 years, and some big national ones, and a couple of small television shows, but most of the TV was being done in LA. Films were being done in LA. So about 4 years, it was when I turned 20, that summer, I went out to LA and really was going after it. And that's when, got another part. I got several parts out there, landed a few guest roles.
Of course, we're also getting the chance to hear your singing voice now as well. You've got the new single out, which is called New York High, and it's got this great jazzy swing feel to it, hasn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that, that kind of sound. There's nothing like, I went to see, some great big bands when I was younger, Buddy Rich Band, it was unbelievable. But I saw, like as I mentioned, Bobby Darin with a big band, and Sammy Davis Jr. and I got to see Sinatra as well. And this song definitely has that. It's almost a newer generation's version of New York, New York. Yeah. It's another anthem to New York, and it's written by a Brit. It's written by Mike Reed,
the legendary Radio 1 DJ Mike Reed.
Yes, he wrote New York High.
And of course, Mike now has his own chart show, the Heritage Chart Show.
Yes, so you'll probably be hearing that on his chart, I would think.
So the single is out now. Will you get a chance to tour maybe with a big band at some stage?
Yeah, I haven't toured with a big band. I have been able to perform with big bands, but the economics of touring with one, it's not like back in the real swing era. But I'm hoping to do more with big bands. I did it in LA at the Catalina Jazz Club with a great big band several times, and in Orlando with the Orlando Jazz Orchestra, I got to do it, and then I even got to do a symphony for the first time not too long ago, Hershey Symphony, which that was amazing because it was like 55 pieces, So I'm hoping to do more of that. We're trying to figure out how I can do a tour, in the UK, and maybe, it wouldn't be with a big band, but maybe with some great jazz musicians, that we find over there, and who knows? We'd love to do that. So going to definitely check that out.
Well, Donny, it's been great talking to you. Thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Oh, thank you, Robin. Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure talking with you as well.
So there we go. Happy Days star Donny Most. And as we talked about during the interview, he has got the new single out in New York High, and we'll finish the show with a little clip. That's all we have time for this week. See you back here same time next week. Bye-bye.
New York is getting me high. Girls by the Store Club have been catching my eye. Moonbeams dance on a Waldorf hotel. Could it be I've fallen under a New York spell? Downtown Manhattan's like a shower of stars, shining reflections of those New York bars.
Welcome to Movie House Cinemas. Popcorn? Yes, please. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the movie. Reclining chairs? Don't mind if I do. Action, thriller, romance, we got it all. Discover the cinema today. Movie House Cinemas, home of the movies.